15 into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. And in case you haven't heard about the story and the Sayal family, we'll talk about that once we wrap up with D. Orlando Ledbetter, who comes up next, talking Atlanta Falcons football right here on Sports Kings Live. We're being heard via Spreaker.com, also iHeartRadio. You can hit us up via Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr at Sports Kings Live. You can also shoot us an email at sportskingslive.com. D. Orlando Ledbetter's up next.
People are always looking to invest in a good opportunity. So what if you could invest in the future of kids, like a stock? Not the kind of stock that's about making money, but a stock for social change called Better Futures. With your investment, it helps students like me go to college. My name is Charles, and I'm your dividend.
Invest in better futures with UNCF. Visit uncf.org/invest. A mind is a terrible thing to waste, but a wonderful thing to invest in. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
What's going on, everybody? It's your man, Big Mike.
Yep, and this is RC, Rob Calloway.
First of all, we'd like to thank everybody for being down with the Kings and for supporting Sports Kings Live.
Your listens, downloads, likes, and follows have allowed this show to grow by leaps and bounds in just a few months.
Now, if you have a product or a business and you'd like to promote it on this show,
it's simple. Just email us at sportskingslive@gmail.com. And once again, thank you for being down with the Kings. This is Sports Kings Live. Rob Calloway flying solo dolo on this Monday evening. Thank you guys for tuning in, however you may be listening, either via Spreaker.com or iHeartRadio. We really appreciate you for checking us out each and every weeknight right here at 7 o'clock. And don't forget, we're available via social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Tumblr, at Sports Kings Live. You can also shoot us an email, sportskingslive@gmail.com. And locally, this Friday, our hometown Atlanta Falcons open up training camp. Couldn't be more excited about it because, these past few weeks, since the NBA Finals ended, man, things have been brutal around here. And right now we are being joined by none other than D. Orlando Ledbetter of the AJC to talk Atlanta Falcons. First of all, D, welcome back to the show, man.
Hey, thanks for having me on, Rob. Appreciate it every time you all call, and don't mind coming on when you extend that opportunity.
Oh, yeah, man. So let's talk a little Falcons football. Now, it's been a while since we talked. We haven't talked since the whole Dan Quinn hiring or any of that. So let's start there. Following Seattle's second straight Super Bowl appearance, Atlanta signed Seahawks defensive coordinator Dan Quinn as their new head coach. Give me your initial thoughts on the signing of Coach Quinn.
Well, he was one of the guys who was considered the top candidate in the group that was out there this year. Either him or Todd Bowles, depending on how you ranked it. And he had put in his time starting back with the 49ers in 1995 and has been slowly climbing his way up the coaching ranks. So he's a guy that a lot of folks had their eye on, and certainly coaching under Nick Saban and Pete Carroll, guys like that, he had a good pedigree. So it sounds like, you kind of worry about a guy who's being a head coach for the first time, but in that regard, he does have a lot of experience from some great coaches around the country.
Now, let me ask you this, because this is my whole train of thought during the whole coaching search. And this was for several teams throughout the league that were interested in hiring these defensive and offensive coordinators. Like you had the Denver Broncos offensive coordinator that was up for a head coaching job. And my whole thing was, if I'm a GM, I'm cautiously optimistic because, to a certain degree, I feel like if you're the Denver Broncos offensive coordinator, I think that you kind of answer to Peyton Manning, versus the other way around because – you have a guy out on the field like a Peyton Manning who basically is the coach on the field. I don't really know how much stock to be able to put into a coach. And the same thing, that was my initial thought with Dan Quinn, because I'm like, okay, Seattle has this juggernaut of a defense that's known as the Legion of Boom. Richard Sherman and Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor and all of those guys, and that's just to name a few. And so I was kind of under the impression like, okay, well, they have this great defense in Seattle where if the coach comes here, like, we don't have that same personnel. So am I fair? Am I fair in that assessment?
Yeah, no question about it. But I think, that was a lot of people's reaction to it, too. But, at the time, I'm thinking, along those lines, too. But then I have to do my research, and I find out he's kind of a below-the-radar guy. Learned his defense from Bill McPherson, who's got 7 Super Bowl rings with the 49ers, and was a long-time executive, kind of took him under his wing there. And he went from there to Saban, and it ends up with Pete Carroll, and been some great defenses. Jason Taylor down in Miami, and I know Bonnie Holiday. He's local, and was drafted by the Packers. And by the time he gets to Miami, he's got Dan Quinn as his coach, and then he talks about how Coach Quinn added 4 years on his career down there by teaching him how to play along the defensive line. So everything in his background is solid. He's not just a guy that was with Carroll for 2 years and got lucky. You can't say that about Andrew Gaze, though. He's 33, he hasn't been around the league for 20 years like Dan Quinn has, and and it's certainly just been, Peyton Manning's guy there in Denver. So I don't think Quinn fit that stereotype there after we did our research and our homework on it.
All right, and that's fair. Looking at this Falcons team last year, and I know nobody really sees this team up close and personal as much as you do. But last season, the Falcons were last in yards allowed, just dead last in yards allowed. What if you're Coach Quinn? What do you do? Or in talking to Coach Quinn, what has his message been as far as being able to turn this thing around so that the defense, you don't have a last place defense, because you can't win a Super Bowl with a last place defense.
No question about it. And the old rule was your defense had to be in the top 10, but we've seen that flip around here as the league moves towards a passing situation. I think the Saints team might have been the first Super Bowl defense that wasn't a top 10 defense. Mm-hmm. So they've got a way to go to get up there. Starts with stopping the run. They've got a lot of new guys to play on that defensive front. That whole linebacking core is going to be gone. I think maybe Warlow stays, but Brooks Reed and Durant, Alan Bradford, O'Brien Schofield, those are guys that we'll see on the field this year, and hopefully they can stop the run a little bit better than the linebackers the Falcons had. The front will be stout. You need 2 people to really come up big for you. Rashid Hageman, second-year defensive tackle, drafted in the second round. He's got to be a player, and so does Vic Beasley, the team's first-round pick this year out of Clemson, their sack master. Those kids have to turn in big seasons for you, and then those veterans might be able to help you out and make you steady, and then maybe you can get that big turnaround.
This is Sports Kings Live. Rob Calloway being joined on the line right now by D. Orlando Ledbetter. Don't forget, you can hit us up via Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Tumblr at Sports Kings Live. Talking Atlanta Falcons football right now, you brought up Vic Beasley. He is somewhat of a local product up from the Bartow County, North Georgia area. And, his family and fan base up there, they are licking their chops at the fact that he actually gets to play, at home. And here's a guy that, I don't really get into the whole draft board, the whole, looking at, this player, that player. But there were only 2 players, in my opinion, that the Falcons should have selected in the first round, and Vic Beasley was one of them. And so just seeing him, because I know you had the opportunity to see him at minicamp. So between minicamp and what you've seen out of him at Clemson, how exciting of a time could this be for Falcon fans to have a guy that really knows how to put pressure on the quarterback?
Yeah, it should be a good fit here. He can definitely get around the corner. You could see the speed throughout training camp. Throughout the OTAs and mini camp and so forth. he's definitely had that first step in that verse. He likes to come from the right side, but he can play both, and they tried to use him at both there. Only one concern, though, Rob. He's 200. He had to bulk up to get to 236 pounds. And, 255 is what Abraham played at, and he was considered light for that position. So, they'll have to hide him and bring him on different type of stunts and moves and keep a bigger guy next to him that could draw a double team so that people can't, eliminate him. So the size is one concern of mine. There was some concern throughout the league, but if used properly, he still could turn out to be a force for them.
Now, two more defensive players that I want to talk to you about. First being Desmond Trufant, who is, in my opinion, he should be the clear leader in the Atlanta Falcons secondary, if not the Atlanta Falcons defense as a whole. I mean, here's a guy that's probably been your most consistent, in my opinion, throughout, his playing time here in Atlanta. What are your thoughts on Trufant and the maturation process that he's gone through?
Yeah, he really showed it last year and turned in a stellar season, given the fact it was on a bad defense, didn't get recognized by a lot of people. But folks were starting to stay away from him towards the end there, and people inside the league knew what type of year he put together. And, man, he had 9 pass breakups, but only 3 interceptions. He had at least 4 or 5 that he dropped. So, if he wants to be a Pro Bowl player, those are interceptions he's got to make. That would have gave him 80, been leading the league, and everybody would have been talking about him. But, they definitely are stable at that one corner spot, and we have something to celebrate in that regard. The Falcons do have a good cornerback to build that defense around.
Now, sticking with the secondary, back there in the very back, you got a guy who is, I think he might be Falcon fans' favorite defensive player in Willie Moe. And I know that last year he had several injuries. I think he only participated in 6 or 7 games last year. But moving forward this year, I mean, how healthy is he, and is he ready to make something happen?
Yeah, he's coming back from shoulder surgery. Sorry about that, and he will should be cleared for camp here starting out. Now, the first thing that we'll have to see is, hey, when he puts a lick on somebody, does that shoulder hold up? Mm-hmm. Or if it's the chronic thing where it's gonna be a problem that reoccurs, then it might signal the end of his career in some regards. But yeah, his ability to roam around and hit people, he wants to play the Cam Chancellor role in the new defense, and there's no reason to think he couldn't do that. So we'll have to see how healthy his shoulder is, if he's got it rebuilt and put back together, and he's a $6 million man and ready to go or not.
Well, saying that he wants to play that Cam Chancellor role, hey, that's a tall feat, man. If I see Willie out there jumping over lines, blocking punts or whatnot, then I'll be like, yeah, he's playing that Cam Chancellor role. I know what he's saying, but boy, Cam Chancellor is a beast in his own. But switching to the offensive side of the ball, I had Bob Whitfield on the show Thursday. And we were talking about the Falcons bringing back this chop block scheme, something that he was familiar with that they had done under Jim Moore with Michael Vick. And, he was saying that with the chop block scheme, and he brought up the Broncos game where they lost the Super Bowl to the Denver, the Falcons did. And, he just brought up the fact that how the chop block scheme, really helps the running back. And, he talked about Terrell Davis and how it helped Terrell. But he was saying that a lot of teams, that choose to go with the chop block scheme, usually they get a 4th, 5th round running back, somebody that, that has talent, but might not be like an Adrian Peterson. But with that chop block scheme, it actually, enables them to be able to improve their stats. So with the Falcons going back to this, how do you think the running game, which right now is Freeman, Anton Smith, and the young man we just drafted this year, how do you think that the run game will fare behind this chop block scheme?
Yeah, I think Bob was right on